Well, hello everyone. Well, thank you very much for joining our amazing series of Mena Google Hangouts. My name is Hamza Ben Mahrez. I'm the policy analyst lead of HIBOS Foundation on the pioneer program of the Internet governance in the MENA region program. And I'm really pleased to receive you all here today. And I'm really keen on investigating with you today such a legally complex and challenging topic. So we'll talk about the legal battle for the future of cybersecurity and what implication for the MENA region. So before kicking the debate, I will try to share with you two simple logistical instructions. Try to lock your phone this time and limit the background voice. Kind of shut down your phones on any connected device that you have. And I will try to give you 1 minute to introduce yourself before asking you the questions of the debate. So should we begin by Nidam Ganitoura, who joined us from Tunisia?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So I need to introduce myself, right?
Yes.
So I'm Mohammed Nidam. I'm from Tunisia. An engineer in computer networks and telecommunication. I also had an experience in California studying like governance, strategy, communication, a bunch of different stuff. So I know Hamza since a long time ago, and we share some interests on governance and governance related mainly to technology. So I'm happy here to share what I know and to listen to other people's perspective about the topic. So thank you for inviting me, and welcome everyone else.
So we are very pleased to have you here, Nidam, and all the great friends. So should we move to Mrs. Khouloud Dawahi, who joined us as well from Tunisia?
I thought that ladies were first. But anyway, okay. So my name is Khouloud Dawahi. I'm an Mena member. I've become an internet governance advocate. I'm also ICANN Next-Gen Fellow, and I'm a member of the Internet Advisory Board. And here today we're going to talk about a little bit about FBA and Apple battle, which for me is very challenging because I've studied actually comparative studies between the Tunisian law and Anglo-American law. So I'll try to give you the perspective from my point of view at least, and I hope you will join. Thank you.
So we are very pleased, Khouloud, to have you with us as well, and we are keen on hearing your legal perspective on the issue. Should we move to Hamza, who joined us from Jordan?
Yes. Hello everyone. My name is Hamza Sadem. I'm a computer engineer and audio blogger. I have an interest with the internet. I'm working in the tech field as a developer. I think the subject today is very challenging, and thank you for inviting me to discuss with you with this subject.
Yeah, we are very pleased to have you all with us today. And like you have mentioned, the topic is very challenging. And the good thing is that we have the two perspectives. We have the legal perspective and the technical perspective. So I will go back to Ms. Khouloud Dawahi and ask you like a general question. So what do you think of the breaking battle between the governments for SBI and Apple in helping investigators access encrypted iPhones?
I think that first we need to examine how the case evolved chronologically. For me, it seems like an arm wrestling between the FBI and Apple. So let's examine it. First, the FBI was granted an order by court compelling Apple to help unlock the phone. Then Apple opposed this order in an open letter, arguing that once a backdoor is created, this technology could be used over and over again on any number of devices, undermining the very freedoms and liberties our government is meant to protect. Then Apple, with the time, gained major support by the major IT companies such as Facebook and Google. Then, in a twist of events, the government requested that the order compelling Apple to agent in search be vacant and announced that they successfully accessed the data stored on Farouk's iPhone and therefore no longer requires the assistance from Apple. So I believe here that they were actually highlighting how vulnerable Apple's security system was. To me, the breaking down actually raised more questions than it answers, actually. If you think about it. This case triggered a worldwide debate about the... Do you hear me? Because I am hearing an echo.
Yes, we hear
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, so the case for me triggered a worldwide debate about the compelling values of privacy and national security. But if you think about it, was it just about the privacy of Apple or the competitiveness and the credibility of the brand of Apple itself? Some people were asking who won the case. Did Apple win? The FBI retrieved, or did the FBI win since it highlighted the vulnerability of Apple? But I think the real question that should be answered, can a device be unbreakable first? Is perfect cybersecurity a marketing illusion, or is it real? Can privacy and national security be reconciled? Should the devices be breakable or not? And if they should be breakable, then under what conditions? And I believe that these questions will not be only answered by the technology. There's also social choices underneath that we have to make. But we have also to understand that this case also highlighted a shift of power, and I believe that IT companies are gaining more and more power over the state, and that's something I would like to discuss later in the following questions. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a very good perspective, Khulud. Thank you for giving us an in-depth perspective on the general question. So I would ask the same question to Nidam. So, I mean, I presume that you have read the case of the fight between Apple and FBI. So, what do you think, in a general term, about that fight and the fact of allowing the FBI to access private encrypted data of iPhone consumers?
So yeah, thank you, Hamza. As Khulud said, like, not in that case, you need to go the chronological steps that the case went by, and I made my little research, and I saw on the Apple side that their corporate governance don't allow government to do such penetration, and they're more oriented to their consumers' rights. I think this is the case is the case shows either the government or big corporate can take the final decision into special occasion like this. And when you saw the last reaction of the US government, they say that they they didn't need the Apple to unlock the phone and use the data. So they just did it, and they took the data they needed, and Apple just didn't do anything for that. So I don't know if Apple will react with a case against their government, or they will just keep it this way. I think the future will show us more what's going on in this special case.
Yes, a great perspective, Nidam. So I would try to ask the same question to Hamza about the give us a general your general ideas about these cases of the fight between FBI and the Apple case. and they think that accessing an encrypted iPhone is legitimate in that particular case.
Okay, I will take it the context of to another perspective. I think when Apple start a fight with the FBI, when we say Apple, Apple is a tech company. It's about revenue. It's about money. It's about people. So Apple maybe did this for a marketing strategy. I think it's for gaining respect and the trust of the other users. But in this case, in the FBI, I think it's a special case to get access the phone of the Mr. Sayyid Farouk, who responsible of the killing innocents in America. But I think Apple make this fight to get rewarded from their users, to get to say yes, we trust Apple. It's gain our respect because they protect our data in when we live or when we dead. But I think the case is not about data for FBI and get it from Apple, but I think it's about gaining an access to the data that help government to get on a case. When we look this for a crime, I think government should ask a question, not gaining access to data from other users. I think this is my perspective.
Yes, so you think that Apple is a move from Apple to cover a little bit the reality of corporate censorship, because we know that multinational corporations, that Google and Apple, they sell actually private data to the government. So
Yes.
that's a strategy from Apple to clean up the mess.
Yes.
I will try to ask Mr. Dua if she can hear us. So Dua, can you hear us? No, she can't. So we will try to move to the second question and go back to Ms. Khulud. So what do you think of the implication or the legal implication of the conflictual interest or fight that we are seeing right now between corporate governance or between multinational corporations such as Apple and the government represented by the FBI? What is the major legal implication for that, and the implication for that on online securities of end users?
For this question, as I mentioned previously, there is a shift of power today, since we've seen in this case. Now, I believe that ICTs have helped magnify the power of IT companies. Now they have more control when it comes to our data, and meanwhile, the technology used such as the end-to-end encryption make it harder to intercept communication for the government. So yes, I believe the governance are becoming more weak. And actually, I have some statement that I tried to look for by the FBI director. In one of his speech, he said he was actually talking about whether the internet with encryption was going dark, and about the collusion between technology, privacy, and public safety. And in a speech that he delivered, I will give you the link later, he said that unfortunately the law hasn't kept pace with technology, and this disconnection that was created creates a public safety problem, and he calls it going dark. And that means is that those charged with protecting our people aren't always able to access the evidence we need to prosecute crime and prevent terrorism, even with a lawful authority. Now they have the legal authority to intercept and access communication and information pursuant to a court order, but they often lack the technical ability to do so. And also in this case, they emphasize that they didn't actually possess the necessary technical ability to defeat this encryption, which also poses a problem. So in another statement, he actually talked about how ISIS was recruiting young people in Syria. The director said that recruiting and testing, it is actually asking from dozens of troubled Americans to kill people, and it was using a process that uses end-to-end encryption, and this communication couldn't be intercepted despite judicial order. So here, I believe that there's the problem. There's the problem between the conflicts between IT companies and governments, and the limits that we highlighted. How much should the government interfere and access data, and how much should the companies cooperate or not? This is a long discussion that I would like also to discuss with the others and see other perspective about it.
Yeah, I think it's a very a complex thesis that you put into perspective, which is fantastic to hear. I will try to contrast that with Mr. Nidam Gandura, who is a technically savvy person, and ask the question or try to link to, is technology catching with the law, Nidam? And what do you think of the implication when it comes to online security if governments want to access encrypted iPhones or their private citizens? Are governments allowed to do that, and what is the major technical, not legal, but the technical implication of that?
All right, thank you, Hamza. So, so the law regulates the balance. So there's the desire to control and the data privacy, and the law usually regulates this balance. And the only threat to that is the exceptions. What do I mean by exception? An exception could be an event that will give the desire to control more power over the data privacy. And I'm going to go through some exception in order to put myself clear. Like after the 9/11 attacks, one day just after, the American Patriot Act, that was a temporary exception law that would help fight this invisible enemy, who is terrorism, as I said. And the thing is, 15 years later, this exception law was still being used. They scan all the data of phone, telecommunication operators, internet, and everything on. In 2014, the European Justice Court deleted a law on the preservation of personal data right after the Madrid and Paris and London attacks. And since that time, all the data was collected and used without even the consent of the users. In 2015, after the Paris attack, a law project on modernizing the algorithms that monitor the use of internet. And what they do is they put dark boxes, the same that we use in plane, and they put dark boxes with algorithms that could detect whatever they want over the flow of internet. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, we need to know what these algorithms really detect. What do they control, and what do they filter, and what do they not? Because in order to detect a suspicious person, you need to scan the whole population. So in other words, we are all being scanned in order to detect the suspicious people. And this is not only now in the European Union, but there's also other agreements done with the MENA region, the Middle East, to put centers that will automatically scan the communication, the internet in this region, and detect whatever the algorithms wants to detect. And I think we should, the way to regulate this from a technical perspective is actually to see or to control what these algorithms really detect or what they can pass. So this is the way to actually regulate a little bit the people who control the flow of information.
So you're emphasizing on regulation because we cannot really deter that. You cannot eliminate corporate surveillance or government surveillance entirely. So I think we will look at the technical recommendation and then be in the last question. So I will add to you both your perspective, the perspective of Hamza. So what is the implication of that battle that we are seeing between government and corporate censorship, or government represented by the FBI and the corporate world represented by Apple?
Okay, I think the government, if they win this battle and the law, and I think it will give them a power to access any data what they want by laws. Because the company have an access, and like Nidal said, they can make an algorithm to get data from the users from any region in the world. Like our region, it's have a little problem with the terrorists. They called us as a region of many terrorists. So we must have a clean people there. So they make an algorithm, some system to check our messages, our data, because they say we try to protect this region. And I think that will be when the government won. In this case, in the case of Apple and the government. Yes.
Yeah, good perspective. Yeah, I will try to delve into the legal sphere and legal analysis a little bit. So, what do you think of the law enforcement, this law enforcement case police, and what is the legal verdict that you predict between that battle between Apple and FBI?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So what is the law enforcement case that you see here between FBI and Apple, and what is the legal implication of that? What is the result of that? Who will be winning at the battle?
Well, as we have seen, unfortunately, we couldn't see the end of this case. But since actually FBI dropped the case and decided that they have successfully broke to the phone, and they didn't need the help of Apple. But I believe that perhaps if the case would have continued, that perhaps maybe FBI would have won, even though there's a little bit of suspicion, since Apple was gaining a lot of support from the IT companies, as I highlighted, and they actually joined the case and filed to join the case. That's something relevant to the American system, of course. I wouldn't go into the details, but sometimes people, third parties, can join the case if they have interest in it, and that's what Facebook did, and they tried to support Apple. But I'm really also raising the same point as Hamza, because for me, is it really about privacy? I do not think so. I think it was more about competitiveness and the brand of Apple itself, more than a question of privacy. But no matter what the answer that we are trying to provide, unfortunately, this case didn't get to the court, and we didn't have actually a court order, which is a little bit too sad, because we didn't see the end here. But the implications of such a case are huge, and they actually created the debate about online security versus data protection. The debate came more than ever on the table, and perhaps in Tunisia, if I would talk in the context of my country, this context, the same context was also brought on the table during the terrorist attacks, but it took more of a broader dimension. It was also about national security versus human rights in general. But this may be because we still don't have such cases related to data protection, which is unfortunately, the result of the lack of awareness about privacy and digital rights. I believe in not only in Tunisia, but maybe in the MENA region. But I would like to hear your perspective about the implication of this case in case it was in your country or one of the countries of the MENA region.
Yeah, if I can add a question for you, because and maybe to approach the question from your background, I will try to ask you about the extraterritoriality problem, which means that the companies like Apple and Facebook, they are not really regulated by national laws. They have their own laws. So what is I mean, do you think that those companies should abide by national laws and be regulated by the government in their way of dealing with their services or with collecting information about people or about citizens?
Yes, these companies, it's true that they are not really abiding to the national laws, but there are some questions, like the question related to privacy. These are federal laws, and it's a federal law in America. So here they have to abide to it, since it's not just a regular case of national or just state law. Because in America we have the problem of the federal law, and not a problem, but really a distinction, let's say, about the state laws, which do not abide. Companies like Apple, etc., do not have to abide to it, and there's the federal laws that are related to important things. So for the case of Apple, they are abiding to these laws, and that's what actually pushed Apple to put that open letter to the public, because I believe that Apple was fearing that they were losing, because FBI gained the support of people in the street, because it was about national security. So they were trying in that open on that open letter to gain the support of the community to fight against the FBI. So, and let's not forget that even if these companies do not abide to the laws, they wouldn't go for that, because they have a brand they have a brand. They should always keep their competitiveness. It's not good for their PR to seem like they do not abide to the laws or they do not respect the laws. So I think there's a lot of marketing stuff here and a lot of branding stuff that were in play. It was not only about privacy, it was also a question of branding Apple, and it was a question about the brand itself more than privacy. I don't know if I answered your question.
So it's not a particularly or purely a national security issue. It was more about economic competitiveness and a PR issue, if we can say, to the end consumer. So that are always at the receiving end of those policies. The next perspective, so I will try to ask the same question. I will take the risk to ask Nidam about the extraterritoriality problem of there is no correspondence between the international laws that regulates those multinational corporations such as Facebook, Apple, and Twitter, and LinkedIn, all of those multinational corporation, and the national laws. So do you think that the government, or do you think that those companies, where they invest outside of the United States, they should they should behave according to the national laws or according to their own federal laws, basically, which is the law of the United States? So because you're in the United States, and maybe you can think about this particular question of law from a technology perspective. What is the middle ground between how government should behave with those companies who settle in their own countries and who have the power to transgress and to go beyond national laws?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna keep on going what Khulud was saying. See, California is a special place where these cases are very special. Like we saw before, a case where the citizens were pursuing big companies about GMOs, and a lot of similar cases, especially in the California system, would make the people, let's say the people, get power over the government and the corporates. So This is a case where it was a corporate against the government. There was a lot of support from the company. I mean, it could be seen as a marketing strategy, or like a coup that was, oh, here we are, we wanna show you that we protect your data. But I think we should wait and see how the community there will react to that. Overcoming the corporate and the government, and see how the people would really react to that. And yeah, I think it's a matter of time. Even though the case might have happened some months before, I think the impact of this case will show us in the near future how the people will react to similar cases, and we're probably going to see something happening.
So end users, they would become more aware about government censorship and corporate censorship, and try to organize themselves to fight against and to win law enforcement cases, and fight against the government or multinational corporations. So there is like a level of awareness that you're seeing in the future, and you are positive.
There's a very big level of awareness, and I mean, I saw this level of awareness when I was there. I never thought that there will be that much awareness from people or from citizens. And personally, when I lived in California, and we study these things, and they show that there is a big awareness not only in the internet governance, but also in other similar cases, including GMOs or related to racial things and stuff. So the case is very interesting. The case is very interesting. I cannot conclude about it, and as I told you, we need to wait and see what's going to happen there. And of course, I'm positive about what's going to happen. I'm positive, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm positive too. So
Let's be positive.
Let's be positive a little bit. Maybe the case is alarming. So I will try to ask Hamza about, I mean, a very simple question, because governments are stakeholders in the internet governance, and they will always remain in this space of internet governance. But do you see that in the name of national security, government, they have the responsibility, or they are allowed to access private citizen information for the prospect of protecting them in the future?
Hamza, could you repeat the question? Sorry.
So, for example, in the context of the Mena region, we have a lot of terrorism problem, non-state actors, and we have a high index of national security. So, do you think that government, they have the right, or are they legitimate to access citizen private data in that particular context?
Okay.
For the prospects of guaranteeing security for the citizens.
Yes, I got it. I think the government sure has to access the data for the users in special cases, not in general. Like I said, it's a special case, like the case of the FBI about the iPhone for I don't know name. It's Sayyid Farouk or something. It's a special case. Yes, it's a special case. The government has to access in the special case. But in this context, we have a problem, because if we look to the case, the government and the big corporation company, I think each of them have its own a moral point about privacy or about security of the national security. I think it's the solution for the government. It's a third-party organization or agency to participate with government to see the data if the third-party organization would be with the government to see the data and check the government's movement in this data, not in like I said, not in the general way. It's a special case. It's a special case for every person, not in the general way. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting perspective.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask the same question to Khulud. So do you think that, for example, in the case of Tunisia, when we have cases of terrorism and somebody shooting people and raising the level of national security, do you think that government are legitimate in that particular context to access citizen private information and do a monitoring on private citizen information for the prospect of protecting them in the future?
Yes. Okay. I'll tell you what I think. I think that this question actually raises two questions at the same time. It is actually, do government have the right, and if they do, to what extent? So for me, the general answer would be that I believe that the government has the right to access encrypted personal data only with the consent of the citizen, whether it is with the help or without the help of Apple or any other party. Nonetheless, when it comes to national security, mostly, and or for example, criminal investigations. Now, we see, if we ask ourselves the question about to what if, since we agreed that they have the right, because after all, the role of the government, yes, it's true that there have been a lot of cases of surveillance, but after all, let's not forget that the government here is to safeguard the rights of its citizens, whereas companies are seeking profit. And let's not forget that for a second. Not forgetting that would push us to answer a second question. To what extent we think that the government have the right to access the private information? Now here the question divided actually the opinions. The answers were divided between the law enforcement agent and experts, which is actually at the heart of the debate, because it's always a question about limits and restrictions. Now, my personal belief is that when it comes to helping criminal investigation and national security, there should be limits to privacy, because as we know, freedoms and liberties are not absolute rights. And this is the result of the social contract. It's the social contract in which people agreed to give up absolute freedoms and liberties for coexistence, for the commune coexistence. And there's a principle I like about law. It says also that it is the principle of that always the common interest should prevail on over personal interests. So we have there's not really the answer yes or no answer. It does always depend about the case, because each case has its own facts and of course that would change everything. So I believe that nonetheless, I believe that civil activists have the right to use encryption to protect themselves by using encryption tools from surveillance. But let's not forget also that encryption can attract dark users too, and it can give advantage to criminals. Now, while the governments are slowed by bureaucracies and court orders, let's not forget that criminals are also using these technologies to shift from traditional crimes to cyber crimes now, which are even more darker. And I
or hackers,
actually. Yeah, hackers. Yeah, yes, hackers also. But we have this separation between the ethic hackers and the non-ethic hackers also. But my fear is that perhaps in our quest to escape these decades of surveillance by state that we were putting through wave, we will be opting for going dark and or anonymity in general. But then again, I think it's too early to decide, because maybe in the future technologies will give us more alternatives and more new, let's say, algorithms or technologies to answer this question.
Yes, a very, yes, I completely agree with you, Khulud, and I will go back to Nidam Gandura, and then ask you about the role of the government in monitoring censorship and surveillance. So, do you think that in a national security context, the context, for example, of Tunisia, do you think that the government should access or have the right to legally access private information, and what is the role of the technical community that you are part of when it comes to civil society engagement or your social responsibility as an end user to learn more about encryption and to learn more how to stay safe online? So do you think that it all fall under the responsibility of the government, or end users, they have a responsibility here as well?
Yes, yeah, a lot of questions in one question. So,
I mean, in the question you can find the answer, Nidam.
I know. I'm gonna try to.
Yeah. So what do you do, for example? That's simple. So what do you think of the role of the government in the national security context, and what do you do as an end user to encrypt or to protect yourself online? We don't only talk about corporate responsibility or government responsibility, but talk us a little bit about you as a technical person. How do you manipulate I mean, your Gmail account, or how to encrypt yourself if you do, and how to protect yourself online?
That's a very good question, because I'm now swimming in the sea, kind of the sea. One fact we should consider is that in this cyber cases, the government doesn't actually ask the people what they think. They just apply. I mean, we are being in Tunisia. I think you know this, Hamza. Our Skype conversation are being monitored. They actually control our Skype conversation, and they see what's going on in our Skype conversation. They don't actually ask us about this, and it's the same that is happening in America, the 9/11 case, and in Europe as well. And as I said before, these rules they use, they say they are exceptions. But the thing is, how long this exception will stay the rule? It will keep on being the rule, and it's the role of the people to say, hey, we want to stop this exception from being the rule, and we want to regulate this use. And
how can we do it, Nida? How can we organize? How can we do it? Should we involve civil society more? Should we involve tech people in the civil society to teach us more about encryption tools? Should we try to be more open to government people and try to make them see the changes and the policy that they should implement? So in one abstraction idea, just to give me like what do you do, or what do you envision your role as a technical savvy guy, or as a civil society guy when it comes to your own understanding of your own security?
I mean, first, I think it's a matter of awareness. I mean, you need to tell people that every time they type in a research in their YouTube account, this research is being saved, and everything. I mean, you can see that by going into your Google account and ask of a copy of your log files, and you can see exactly what they have on you. And like, if you have access to that, they mean anybody that has access to that. Same with Facebook. I mean, the amount of information that is kept on you is just huge. And people are, I mean, maybe my generation is more aware, but the older people that just started using these things this way are not aware. They share, they use without knowing that someone can use this information one day against them. I think it's the same battle for protecting the environment. It starts with awareness, making people aware of what's going on online. Tell them that these data how this data function. Explain them the technical part, but make it as simple as they can understand it, and show them practical examples. And for me, for the last years, I've been switching from an email to another, just trying to understand how I could control my own data flow. So trust me, I've been like going from an email to another one and trying different platforms of email, just because we're still learning. We're still this is a technology that is evolving at a very high speed, and one person, like personally, I don't think one person could come out with the best practical use of it. We must gather more and brainstorm, heartstorm, whatever you want to call it, and come up with.
Yeah. So we need the front.
Exactly. We need. Yeah.
Yes, we need the movement. We need the front. We need a coalition, basically, to try to be like what we do in the IGMina activity. So we're trying like to build. I'm promoting IGMina activities now.
I'm feeling a branding of.
Yeah, so branding is the So I need to do that. So I will ask Hamza, because Hamza is working on encryption and online security development, because you're a developer, so you're working on the online security tools development, like VPNs and the two or so are hectic acronyms. So tell us more about you as a responsible citizen. What do you do to encrypt yourself and protect yourself online from corporate censorship and government censorship? And please elaborate from a civil society perspective.
Okay, I think to protect myself, I'm using a lot of tools. I'm using a browser. It's called Onions. I don't know, some some hacker use him, but use it. But I think I use it because it's a clear history. It doesn't have any cache for your history, and the log file, it can't be saved and it can't be traced. I think when I want to search about thing, and I want anyone to know what I'm searching, I'm using this platform. But in the general case, I use a regular browser. About encryption using my data, we in the last week or the last 10 days, we see a game of Pokemon. Sorry, I will go through another context, but to clear my point. We see
it's within.
Yes. I see the game of Pokemon. It's a lack of privacy. It's steal our data, and I think I said don't register with your user of the Google user. Just make a fake profile of Google and play this game. It's a solution, and it's very easy. You can trick anyone what we want, but you have an awareness and a technical background. But in the let's see, in the ordinary people or the normal people, they don't know what they should to protect their data or encryption. So they make the government can trace them and can get data from them without any effort. Just to clear my point, I think anyone can use any encryption data, any encryption tool to encrypt his data. But I think it's for a specific person. The government doesn't have to doesn't have a right to access this data, so we don't need use this encryption tools. Yes, this is my perspective.
Yes, a great perspective. And then we have actually an article coming on the Pokemon phenomenon and the repercussion of that on end users. Online security.
Yes.
So I will try to answer the final questions. I'm really impressed about the level of your expertise on the subject matter. I would ask Khulud, and we know that the law didn't really catch with technology. So technology like develops exponentially, but the law is still stagnated. The legal background is not developing. So what is your major recommendation when it comes to expanding online security for end users from a legal perspective? So what are the regulations that you see in the future being backed by laws when it comes to the Constitution and when it comes to the future of online security?
Thank you. Yes, it's quite true actually. Now we see that the technology are evolving at a really high pace, and the legislation couldn't also keep pace with it, unfortunately. But I do think that what I see recently in Tunisia, and mostly after the revolution, is that we're always thinking about legislation, and we do not think about the policies in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we should also focus on policies, because policies shape the legislations. And when it comes to my policy recommendation, at least, first of all, I would like to say that to highlight a very important point, which is that there's, as my colleague also highlighted, that there's a lack of awareness about the online safety. And also, in the MENA region, we do not have this culture of online safety, unfortunately for us. And I believe that, for example, we should introduce in our national policies online safety courses. Why not introduce in our educational system, for example, a course for primary schools and high schools, like the civic engagement courses we used to have when we were children, actually, or at least
or the internet governance even course.
Yeah,
which is not...
yeah, or why not an internet yeah, but that's for kids. Yes, for primary schools.
Of course,
yeah, why not,
my dream is to
actually?
be. I want to be a scholar, actually, not only in a policy.
Hamza has a dream. Hamza, I have
so
a dream. Give us your speech. I have a dream.
So one day, not now.
Okay, so why not actually giving these courses for primary schools or high schools? I also believe that something is very important, something that we are missing today, is when it comes to we should actually develop national cybercrime task forces and improve our ICT expertise on the national levels in our respective countries.
Very good. That's the point.
Because we do not have task forces when it comes to cyber crimes. Actually, I do believe that maybe we should have to ask for other companies for abroad to help us. We do not have expertise. Now, what a shame that in this era we still do not have the expertise or actually task forces to help us in these critical cases. Now, on a more of international or global perspective, because let's not forget that cybercrimes are not just national crimes, they actually are defying the territories. I think that we should establish and promote not only global but also regional cooperation. I would like to see cooperation between the MENA region in terms of fighting cybercriminality, because actually it is when it comes to cyber crimes, they have a transnational natures. It is not only about developing strong national cyber laws, but it's also about cooperation between countries, because today we live in the era of globalized crimes and organized crimes. Now, a cybercrime can take place in one country, for example Tunisia, and it produces its effects, let's say, in Egypt or Jordan, for example, or in many countries at the same time. Now, keeping that in mind, cooperation for me and promoting this cooperation, and perhaps I would like to see for example, a MENA region initiatives for cyber, keeping in mind that also we should also work on the national level, but also we should not forget that working on a national level won't cut the deal. We need to work on a national level and on a regional and global level.
I think it's spot on. Khulud's fantastic perspective. Yeah, well, there's another perspective on trust in cybersecurity when it comes to the trust between governments. Because governments, they do survey each other, not only citizens. But yeah, and that was revealed by Edward Snowden, actually. So I would go back to Nidam and ask you, as a technical person, what is your major recommendation when it comes to enhancing, of course, people awareness about online security, about the policies, the technical policy that you can think of when it comes to encryption and giving more incentives for end users to protect themselves online in one or two sentences? What should we do? Should we teach them? Should we educate them? Should we send them abroad? Should we?
All of it. It's all of it, but it comes up with a strategy thing. But on the short term, it could be awareness videos that explain to non-technical people what's really going on and just explain the basics, so they limit their use. They limit their use, and they just don't use it in an appropriate way. For the medium and long run, as Khulud said, education is a very good solution. Like, you can introduce this in school, in high school, and teach the kids that, listen, if you do this, you can be attacked by this. So we need to run as technology is running, and the collaboration also in the MENA region is primordial for me, because we need to take care of our own business and not allow other forces to do it for us. And this is it may be a way for us to collaborate between each other, to get over our differences and to settle something that we can solve a lot of our problems within ourselves, and not allow other major forces to say, hey, we want to settle this center to see what's going on in your network. We need to do it by ourselves and not allow other forces to do it for us. So these are my points.
Yes, it's really fantastic to hear you calling for more awareness and trying to think about the right policies to reach that particular status. And Hamza, if you can in two sentences try to give us your opinion on the recommendation on guaranteeing better online security for end users, and Jordan, in your particular context, Jordan, the MENA region.
Okay.
Or the people in the world who are watching us now.
Okay. About the point and my recommendation, I think it's about, like Khulud says, it's about education and give awareness. I think the most important thing, it's a school and the university. We must have awareness in these places about online security, about any technical issue that face the user to get attacked by the government or by any third party. I think, yes, the first point is education. The second point is about an agencies or an organization to work about awareness in the society, to give awareness about security, about online course, about security of being online. It's a hot topic, and nobody say about it. It must be a course about how to be secure online. It's a good course. If I user and as I see this, and in website like Udemy, I will buy this course. Why this course is not exist in the internet right now? It's an important course to protect yourself. Okay, I think it's only 2 points: education and awareness to a society by organization or a third-party agency. Yes.
Yes, I think that's it. I mean, we reached the final question of the Hangout. I think I was really surprised by the level of dedication and expertise that you demonstrated in them. I see that this topic is all about education responsibility and engagement. And I think that the first step is to try to embark in concrete initiatives and move from theory to practice, and build the grassroots movements that are aware enough to implement safer policies for end users in the MENA region. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Nizam Gandura. Your perspective was absolutely great. You exceeded all my expectations. And as well, and Khulud Dawahi as well, one of the best engagement leaders that we have in the program. And it's always fantastic to hear your legal perspective and to see you engaged and thrive as a true leader. So I will give you 1 minute
to be with you.
Yes, it's reciprocal. So I will give you 1 minute because I want to give people 1 minute to try to give us a feedback. Give us your if you have last remaining idea before concluding. Khulud, go ahead.
Okay, ladies first. For
I apologize.
The 19 minutes left. Okay, so as I said, I believe that civil society is doing great work, but it is not enough. We should advocate this more, and we should take it to the next level. We should go for it. For example, as I said, online safety in education, which is very important. We should not only just stick to efforts online, we should go to people more, and we should go actually to decision makers, which is really important, because the civil society alone cannot do anything. There's a lot of work that needs to be done when it comes to our policies, because it is a very quite complex issue, and I would like to call for mostly like Hamza and Nidam, IT experts, to raise more awareness. I would like to see them more talking to people and explaining these things in videos and so, because there's a lack of expertise in these fields. There's a really huge lack of expertise, and people like to hear from experts. So I would really like to call them to raise more awareness and to be engaged in that debate, and go to people and explain, write articles, because their opinion really matters. Also, legal experts matters too, and everybody's opinion matters too, but mostly IT experts, because they know more about technologies. And that would be it. And I would like to thank you all for this effort that we're doing in this summer to raise awareness and to make people understand more about online security.
So Nidam, in one word, what is your response to that marvelous intervention of Khulud, saying that IT technologies, they should be attracted more to civil society, and they should explain more to end users those technical, wonky, and complex issues that we don't usually understand, that we take for granted?
I didn't. I only heard the first part of it.
No. What is? Khulud said that technical people, they should explain more technology to end users.
Yeah, I mean, she's right. I mean, she's right. I mean, I'm a network and telecommunication engineer, and the rush, the speed of which the technology involves, like, makes us. We need to always keep on track. We need to always keep on learning, and it's the same thing for hackers. They always need to keep learning new technology and stuff. And I agree that we need to make some awareness video, makes it non-very technical but simple to understand for non-technical people. And the problems, I mean, it's not a problem, it's just the thing that we must overcome is how to broadcast these videos or articles or whatever in a very efficient way after. I think we should focus on that. I mean, make a network of think tank collaboration in the MENA region, so that when we produce a video or we found that someone made a video this way, how we can broadcast it in a very efficient way and make this video or these advices go to a larger audience that we want to reach. I think we should also focus on this. The technical, I mean, the recommendations are there. The people who can make the videos or collaborate with each other are they. We just need a little bit of nizam, let's say this way, and it will go. It will work.
Nice way to put it. Yeah, I think I completely share the perspective of Nidam, and I think that what we have just said or put forward maybe can be in the coming remit of the work of IGMINA maybe next year, to try to visualize and work on with online tools to explain online security and technical issues to end users. And I think from my perspective, I think we should humanize the internet, and I see fantastic human beings joining the IGMINA Hangout today. And I hope to meet you soon in the upcoming events. We have great events coming. So I'll tell you what are those events, because you know. I hope Hamza, Nidam, and Khulud, we will meet again. We will speak as professionals, as friends. It was a great show. Thank you very much, and see you around.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nidam. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Khulud. Catch up soon.
Yep.
Thanks, Nidam.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.